with your review things. So the last piece we need to do is 3.5b, and this is dealing with absolute inequalities. And so in this section, what ends up happening is we, instead of just having things that have a equals in them, we're now going to look at inequalities with absolutes that are x minus 5 with an inequality involved. And so if there's an inequality involved, we have to pay attention to this side over here and say, okay, what does it tell me about this problem? And we also have to be able to get these things into the interval notation and so forth. So let's go through and see if we can solve this. Well, just as it did in the last section, we have some possibilities that are going to happen in this thing. This could be a positive 3, or it could also be a negative 3. So to set the thing up, you can put a negative 3, keep the exact same symbol, put your absolutes in the middle, and that will set up your two pieces. Now realize the first piece is a negative 3 is less than x minus 5. So I'm looking at that part. We okay with that part? The second equation is the last piece, which is x minus 5 is less than 3. These two are my two sections, or my two pieces that I use to solve this with. So I've got two pieces coming out of here. You okay with that part?
Okay, gotcha.
Yes?
Got it. How you
We
got
good?
that?
Okay. So if I solve it just like we did back in, what, 3.4, I think it was. We're going to add 5 to both sides here. Negative 3 and a positive 5 is 2. It's less than x. Solve the second one. I'm going to subtract, or add 5, sorry. And I'm going to have x is less than 8. So what does this tell me, and what numbers can I pick for this? So if I look at my number line, what's my number line telling me? Here's 2. Here's 8. And so what's the number line showing? Well, is this set up right to show me the direction it's going to go in?
Yes.
No.
It's not, because x needs to be on the left, opening towards x and a 2. Now it's going to show me which direction to go in. So what direction should I go in? 2's going to head this way, correct?
Yeah.
Because I got bigger things than that. Do I include it or not?
Open.
It's open, or I have a parenthesis. Where does the 8 go? 8's going to go the opposite way. Open or closed?
Open.
Open. So what's my solution?
2.
So my solution in interval notation is 2, 2, 8. Okay? Because it's in between those two is what's going to make this solution come out correct. If I put those numbers in there. Okay? But I can't include 2 and I can't include 8. Are we okay? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I got that part so far.
Think we're good? Okay. All right. If we have something that looks like 2 absolute 2x minus 5 absolute less than 10, what do I got to do to this one? Well, first, I need to get it in standard form, so what do I have to do? Divide by 2. So if I divide by 2, that's going to leave me absolute 2x minus 5 is less than, whoops, 5. Get my 5 in there. Okay. How am I going to get my two equations?
Oh, 5.
This is a 5.
It'll be negative 5
Negative 5.
is less
Keep
than,
the same sign.
Keep the same sign?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be negative 5 less than 2x minus 5.
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Because you're gonna make two equations.
Right. So now if I want my two equations, it's this equation. So -5 is less than, drop my absolute.
5.
Then if I want my second equation,
2x minus 5.
is less than 5. Mhm.
Now you solve.
We okay or not okay?
No,
Because this one, remember we keep the same sign and put it on the other end?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we keep that same symbol, put it here, we're going to look at that part as one, then we're going to look at this piece as the other. Okay, then if I solve them, what am I going to get? This case, I'm going to add 5. 0 is less than 2x, divide by 2. So I find 0 is less than x for that one. We okay so far? Okay. And this solving isn't any different than what we've been doing. So add 5 to the other one. Divide by 2. So x is going to be less than 5.
So you flip that around.
Yeah. This one I'm going to. Yeah. So it's going to be x is greater than 0 at the same time x is less than 5. Remember, this is algebraic notation. What goes in the middle?
United.
Union, yes.
United.
Union, yeah. Means same kind of thing, yeah. So we've got a union in the center, and that would be my algebraic notation. Okay. What is my graph notation or my number line? So here's 0. Here's 5. What way do I go?
The first one
This one goes this way.
to the right, the second one goes to the left,
Mm-hmm.
and it's everything in the middle.
Mm-hmm. So my answer is going to be bracket or parenthesis 0, comma
5.
5. Okay. We okay or not okay?
Okay.
Now be careful when you go into Hawks, because Hawks is going to have it broken into different categories. They may ask you for the standard, when we've solved it, to get it to the standard notation. Okay? Then they may ask you for your two equations, your two pieces. Then they might do a number line, or they might go straight to interval notation. But if you do a number line on your sheet, you will be okay with that part, because then you'll know where your interval is at. So if you do it on your sheet of doing that, this definitely helps you get that interval down of what you happen to have with that. Okay, not okay?
Okay.
All right, good deal.
I don't know, like graphing is a little like sketchy.
Your graphing's a little sketchy on this piece?
Yeah, because I thought you would just stop at 0 and 5.
Yeah, no, because what you're looking at is this whole piece. Whatever I pick in between 0 and 5 will make this a true statement. Because if I pick 2, plug 2 in here, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 5 is a -1. The absolute of a -1 is 1, and 1 for sure is less than 5. Okay?
They're both. Do you know what I'm saying though?
I kind of
Like
think...
you're going that way and you're going that way. You keep going that way. I
Right.
thought you
Oh,
would
these
stop.
keep going. You don't with these, because you're looking for the piece where they overlap. The only time you'd keep going with these, Amy, is if one went one way and one went the other way. If you had, for example, if x were less than 4 and x is greater than 8. If I did this on a number line, here's 4, here's 8, this one says to go this way. This one says to go this way. So then what I would have to pick with that one for my interval would be from a -infinity to 4.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Union
I understand that.
with
I just don't understand
8.
'cause you're going, your arrows are going that way and that way. Keep
They
going.
cross each other, right? They
Yeah.
keep going. But my problem is, if I pick something out here, because this arrow keeps going right here, but if I picked a -2 for an answer to put in here, it won't work. Because a -2 times 2 is a -4. A negative 4 minus 5 is really a negative 9.
That makes sense.
The absolute of a negative 9 is a positive 9, and a positive 9 is not less than 5. Okay? So it limits me to only in between these two because that's the only piece that'll make that work. Otherwise it won't work. If I pick anything beyond where these two overlap at, it will not work for an answer. That's a good question to ask because that's what happens with it. Alright? Okay, so let's see what we got for another one here. Absolute of x plus 3 is less than a negative 2. Some of these get special stuff in those too. When we had the absolute of x plus 3 equals a negative 2, what did we say happened to that one? If I had this, if x plus 3 inside absolutes was equal to a negative 2, what did I say about it? It's a no solution. What about this one? Is there anything I can put in here that's going to make this side less than a negative 2?
But in no solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's negative.
Right, because this negative 2 here, I can't put anything inside of here that's going to make this side less than a negative 2. Because everything that comes out of an absolute is positive. So if it's positive coming out of here, I can't make anything happen to it. So then what I want to do is this one's going to be a no solution. But if they said x plus 3 absolute is greater than a negative 2, can I come up with answers to go in here that's going to make that true?
Yeah. Maybe.
No. Because it's a negative, so there's always no solution. Because
But be careful with an absolute, or not an absolute, but with a greater than. All that means is that this side needs to be bigger than a negative 2. Can I make that happen? Yes.
so you have to watch the symbol then? The greater than.
Yeah.
Symbol?
Yep.
Okay.
You're going to have to watch what your symbol happens to be in here. If it's this side with a negative,
There's no solution.
no solution. If it's this greater than with a negative, there's infinite solution.
Because X can be anything.
Yep. Infinite solutions with that one, but no solution with this one. Okay? And I don't need to do any math connected with this because anything I put in here is going to make it bigger. If I put a negative 5 plus 3 is a negative 2, but an absolute of a negative 2 is a positive 2. So it's always going to be bigger. So this one has infinite number of solutions. So these two are the special ones. Be careful with those specials because they do come across in a variety of places for those. So watch those and make sure you pay attention to what happens with them. Okay. How about this one? 16 is greater than or equal to the absolute of 3 minus 3x absolute plus 4.
So, subtract 4.
So what would I have to do?
Subtract 4.
So I need to minus 4. Okay. So when I do that, what happens? So now I need to set it up so I have, this is standard. So now I need to set up with two equations. So how can I get two equations? Well, keep this piece. And what do I put on the other end?
Negative 12.
Same sign with a negative 12. Okay? We found that okay? Yes? No? We good? Okay. Two equations. One is this one. The other equation is that one. And then we're going to solve them and see what happens. So I minus 3. So what's 12 minus 3? 9. But because this is a negative 3, what has to happen?
You gotta flip the sign.
Yep.
You can do divide by negative, so you flip sign.
So, negative 3 less than or equal to x. And that's the answer to this one. Then I gotta solve this guy. So I'm gonna minus 3. Divide by negative 3. So just like the last one, the sign's gonna flip. And what happens? Negative 15 divided by negative 3 is a positive 5. And so what would my number line look like?
It's going to be overlapping.
The overlapping?
Never mind, no.
Well, remember, this isn't set up right.
Okay, yeah.
So that's
so
got to
that's
change. And then I know what direction I'm
now
going in.
overlap.
Yep.
But wait,
It's
so
closed.
you
and
don't
all.
use brackets for that then?
Yep, you do. I wrote the
Okay.
wrong thing. Yep, you use brackets. So my answer is a bracket, negative 3 to 5 with a bracket. I wasn't keeping track of my equals. Okay, you're not okay.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
Okay.
It's
Okay.
always easy when we do it in class.
Yeah, we won't be,
Yeah, then you leave me and away you go. And remember, you can always pull these up, because I always put them in there into Integrity. So you can always pull up the notes if you get stuck on something, because it's always there in that. So let's take a look at one of these guys. Absolute 6x, or 6y plus 3 over 3 plus 3 is less than or equal to 10. So,
Minus 3.
minus 3. Ten minus 3 is 7. Now I need to figure out my two equations with this thing. So remember, it could be a positive 7 or it could equal a negative 7. So negative 7, same inequality. Then my two equations, one's this one. We okay with that part? One's the first one, and I drop my absolute, so negative 7 is less than or equal to 6y plus 3 over 3. That's one. The second one is the last piece. 6y plus 3 over 3 is less than or equal to 7. And then I need to solve it. So, what happens when I solve this one? So I gotta get rid of the 3. So times everybody by 3. So I get negative 21 is less than or equal to 6y plus 3.
Can you make that down?
Down a little bit?
Yep, that's good.
Is that good? Okay. So now I need to subtract 3. Gives me a negative 24 is less than or equal to 6y. I think I gotta move it up now, so I'm at the bottom of my screen. Sorry about that. Did
No,
you get
you're
that
fine.
stuff?
Yep.
Okay. So then divide by 6. And negative 24 divided by 6. What's negative 24 divided by 6?
Oh, shoot.
Okay.
-4.
Negative 4? Okay. But that's not set up to do my graphing, so it's y is greater than or equal to a negative 4.
Now you solve from the other side.
And then solve this side. So multiply everybody by 3. Subtract 3. And I get 18. Divide by 6. And I find y is less than or equal to 3. And so I've got those two solved, so now I need to graph them. Negative 4 and 3. Negative 4 is going to have a bracket heading to the right. 3 is going to have a bracket heading to the left. But because my answer is what's in between, my interval is bracket
-4.
4, comma 3. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Nothing new really, it's just the idea of breaking it apart into your two pieces, okay? And being careful with that as you break it apart to come up with those, so. Okay, how about this one? Absolute 3x plus 4, absolute plus 3 is less than or equal to 0. So what's going to happen?
We got a -3.
Mm-hmm.
Now it can be a +3 on the other side.
No, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, because it's
Whenever you see a negative, we always got to think of special things. Can I get something over here that's going to be less than or equal to a -3?
no.
So this is a
Solution.
no solution.
But
Okay.
if the sign was facing the other way, the greater or less.
If it was going the opposite way, if it would have been 3x plus 4 with it going this way, then it would have been infinite. Yeah.
I got a question.
Yes.
I always get confused when I'm trying to write my interval notation on what you're supposed to put, like, first. Like,
The smaller
when you
number
only have one,
first,
like,
right?
for instance, okay, Z is less than 4.4. You know what I'm saying?
Z is less than 4.4.
Yes,
Okay. And that's all you have?
yes.
Okay. If this is all you have, then on your number line you have 4.4. It's showing me to go this way. Where is it heading?
So negative.
Where is it heading?
It's negative infinity.
Mm-hmm. Then you read your number line just like you're going to put an interval notation. So I'm at a negative infinity,
So negative infinity first.
comma 4.4.
Alright, I always get confused with that, that's, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yep.
I know.
Always do your number line. If you always work this part out and do your number line first, your interval is going to just kind of flow. Because the interval just goes along with what your picture looks like. And you know every time with infinity, it's always a parenthesis. And if you don't have an equals, it's always a parenthesis after your number. Yeah. But read your number line. Now if that would have been Z or X is greater than or equal to 4.4, then what would have happened is I would have went to positive infinity.
Yeah.
Okay?
So then
And it's
4.4.
included, so if I read my number line going from left to right, it's from 4.4 to
But then
positive
that would be
infinity.
parentheses, right?
This would be, the end
Okay.
would be. The first would be a bracket because you had an equals.
Alright.
Okay?
Yeah.
Does that help? Okay, good. As long as we get all that stuff to make sense with what you got going with those. But again, that's basically all of the stuff that's in there. But make sure you watch out for those negatives and getting your negative values in there. One more. What if we had 3
Don't be trying to trick us now.
absolute x minus 1 absolute plus 9 is less than 12.
Ooh, that 3's throwing us for a curve.
So we need to get it in
Standard.
standard. So what do I have to do first?
You have to
Subtract
-9.
9.
Mm-hmm. Twelve minus 9 is 3.
Now we need to divide by 3.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a guess. I guessed right?
You did.
Good.
Good guess in there. Divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So now I need to set up my two pieces. So
It can be
keep
1
the
or
same
-1.
sign. -1 less than absolute x minus 1 less than 1.
Now we have to take both parts of the equation.
First part,
-1 greater or less than x minus 1.
second part,
X minus 1 is greater or less than 1.
yep,
And now we solve.
and solve them. So add 1. So 0 is less than x. Take the other one, add 1. X is less than 2.
Okay, I have a question. We can look at this. Because I did it differently, but can't we just do it all?
No, you gotta be careful because it'll add to it all. If you do it that way, you won't get your separate. Okay. Yes, the question that was asked was, could I just do this all in one step? Remember we were doing those where we had 1 and we had x minus 1 and we had that. We were doing them that way before. And doing this whole piece in here and adding 1 and plus 1 and plus 1, and you get 0 is less than x is less than 2. You get the same results, but the problem doing it this way is in Hawks they ask you to do it separately. So when you do your statement, you have to do it separately in there. So you want to be real careful with those and what you happen to have. Okay? So work out your pieces separately when you're doing it. Okay. Finishing this one, reverse this part, so it's going to be x is greater than 0. So it's going to be this way, parenthesis. The 2 is going to go the opposite way, parenthesis. So my answer is 0 to 2 with parentheses. Two y minus 3, we'll do one more. We've been doing a lot of them that had less than signs. We're going to do a greater than in there. So what would I have to do to this one?
You would add 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you the standard.
Okay. Then
You
get
have
my
to-
2 pieces.
Negative 1 is greater than.
Absolute 2y minus 3. Okay. Then to get my 2 pieces, it's going to be this piece.
Negative 1 is greater or less than 2y minus 3.
And it's going to be this piece.
Y minus 3 is greater or less than 1.
Okay. When I solve it, I get 1 from 3 is 2. Divide by 2, I find 1 is greater than y. And when I solve the other one, I'm going to add 3. Divide by 2. And I find y is greater than 2. What's my number line going to look like with this one though? This I got to do the opposite, so I'm going to take y is less than 1 and y is greater than 2. Yes. Because if I do my number line out, this one's heading this direction with a parenthesis. This one's heading this direction with a parenthesis.
Are they going to be parentheses on the end too?
Yes,
Okay.
because remember, whenever we go to infinities, negative or positive, it's always a parenthesis. So parenthesis, negative infinity to 1, unioned with parenthesis 2 to infinity. So some of them are going to go the opposite way with those. Alright? Yes or no? Yes?
So 1 is greater than y. Why do you switch the sign when you put it?
Because it shows me the direction on my number line to go in. If I graph this, it might make me think that I've got to go this way, and I'd go the wrong way. Okay? Because if I reverse it, the point goes to that, and these inside of here, they told me which direction to go on my number line.
Oh.
Okay? Because this points me to the left, and this points me to the right. But if I left it like this, I might go the wrong way on my number line. Okay?
All right.
That's the reason. Okay.